So welcome back to part 2. Already assembled the whole engine back together. You can see the new vacuum tubes in place here and here, and the supply line that comes here, that comes from the idle control valve. I have made sure that it's airtight by using these clamps to secure everything in place. So that's the vacuum system of the engine for the idle control, but it's definitely not the only place where it's possible to draw false air. And I will explain two other systems where it's possible to draw false air right after this. So there's one system that supplies vacuum air to the EGR valve, and it's connected here to the manifold. And you have a line going all the way back on the back of the warm-up regulator. You have the vacuum switch here, and it's the manifold in and goes out to the EGR. This is the EGR. This EGR can be broken as well. What I like to do is to check it. I take the rubber off and I plug it, and if you don't notice any change in your RPM, then there's no leak at the EGR. So that's one separate system going through the vacuum switch to the manifold. So that's system 1. So system 2 has the connection here on the manifold and next to the map sensor, and it goes through a vacuum check valve. You can check this vacuum check valve with a vacuum brake drain unit. I will show you in a minute. From this check valve, it goes into 3 other places. From one of the places is the second temperature valve switch you see here, and that goes to the warm-up regulator. The other one is the retard from the ignition, and the third is down here where it goes to the throttle body. So that's system number 2. So like I mentioned before, this is already a engine where I've repaired the vacuum system, but other than the vacuum system in the engine, there's also a vacuum system for the air conditioning and for the central locking, and that's also a place where it's possible to draw false air. And I will run through the system now. The actual system is connected, and then I'll try to show you. It's on the back of the manifold. It's pretty dark here, but it's this gray tube you can see here with this rubber on it, and that goes into the back of the manifold. And this gray line is the supply line to all of the vacuum systems. So you can see here the gray line coming in to a splitter and a number of vacuum check valves, and this is the supply line. What I like to do is, just like on the EGR, take it apart and plug it off, and if you don't see any if you don't notice any change in RPM, then this will probably not be the cause of your vacuum system leak. So yeah, going further, this yellow and gray line is the supply line to the vacuum tank, which is basically under the fender. So those two you can check also with the vacuum pump. So this is how I check my my check valve. If it's vacuum on one side and draw on the other side, I use this brake booster pump, and if you connect it to the black side, which is the draw side, you should be able to vacuum it, and it should be taking air back. So that's the sucking side of the check valve. So you're supposed to see this. So this is good. And so I'm now going to show you what the vacuum side is supposed to look like. I'm going to try this with one hand. Bear with me. I'm going to change sides in the tube. Alright, not going to work. So I now have the vacuum side of the check valve in the hose. And when I put vacuum on it, it's supposed to keep the vacuum. So it's not supposed to drop. As you can see, it keeps its vacuum pretty steady. I usually leave this for about a minute or 5-6, and if I don't see any change in vacuum, then the check valve is okay. So you can see it here. The blue side is the vacuum side, and the black side is the draw or suction side. Just from the top of my head, the gray line here is the supply line, which basically goes through a number of check valves, and a short explanatory on what these lines actually are. This gray and white one is the economy line, so that goes to the dashboard and actually shows you on the dashboard what your economy mileage is. This comes directly from your manifold, and basically how the higher pressure is in the manifold, the higher the reading on the economy meter is. I usually use the economy meter, but first I disconnect it and I use my vacuum pump to actually check if the meter is working. But I usually use the vacuum meter as an indication of a leak of vacuum air. If the meter doesn't go anywhere, it's stuck, and it is working by checking it with the vacuum meter, then you have somewhere a leak or a draw of false air. The yellow and gray one is going to the vacuum tank. The purple one is basically, if you have a European model, this is an SL500. It has also the vacuum beam adjustment, so you can adjust the beam from your headlights up or down with this vacuum line. So purple has a couple of them. You have the red one, you can see here. The red one is for your AC system, so that's the supply line to your AC system and all the valves in your AC. Your central locking has a yellow wire, yellow tube. It's different from this yellow tube. This is a yellow and white one, and the vacuum system for the central locking, the supply tube is this blue one. So the blue one goes into the cockpit and then goes through a splitter and changes from blue to yellow and runs through the car from the doors to the trunk and also the tank door. So I hope this is helpful in explaining what the colors are of the vacuum system and where goes what.